Hi BookTube. So as it's Tag Tuesday, I thought my video today for Vlogmas would be a tag. I saw this over at Criminality's channel, and I will leave a link in the description below to the originator of the tag. I'm looking down because I have the tablet here in front of me. So the first question is, what you read? How has your taste in books evolved? I've always read ever since I was in like kindergarten. I started with like Hooked on Phonics, and I was always so excited to read like the next level up. I remember as a little kid like pushing myself like, oh, I want to advance and read all of these in the little like box you got. But that being said, as a kid, I liked fantasy and mystery books. Then going through into middle school, I read a lot more like hard-hitting kind of books in a sense, like emotionally hard-hitting, like the Oprah picks her book clubs. A lot of those are kind of like tearjerkers in a way. And then going through into college, I started reading a lot more nonfiction as I was a history major, and so that really sparked my interest in that. Even though prior to that, I was intermingling nonfiction and history, but I for sure started ramping it up when I was in college. And then out of college, I for sure my nonfiction has like gone up, but I still love mysteries. I still love like even like children's books if I see them at a little free library, and like the one with a little like apple on it. What is it? Little apple, or I'm sure you know what I'm talking about. Like the old classic with like the border. If I see those, I'll pick them up because I remember reading them a lot as a kid. And so yeah, I'm still reading all the genres for sure. Like I would say like science fiction, it's always been like really low on my what I'm reading. And like self-help, I never read those. That's always been consistent. So yeah. Let's see. So number 2 is how you read. Has the format of your reading changed much? Yes. I used to read only like physical books, and then when the e-readers came out, I was like adverse to them because I was like, that is not a book. That's, how can I call myself a reader if I'm reading that? Because it's just like, like kind of like adjacent to your phone. And but then I read one book on my phone because, what was it? I think it was The Hunger Games. I'm pretty sure that was like my first ebook I've ever read, and it was way back when it was like really popular, and so the library had a really long list on it, and so I purchased it on ebooks. I think it was like a really good discount or something like that versus the physical copy. And so I read a book on my phone. I had like iPhone 4 or 5 at the time, and so I was like, I really got immersed in that book, and I didn't think that was possible. And so I then went on to purchase a Kindle Fire, and I started like reading more of that than my physical books. And then I went solely to reading on an e-reader predominantly for like years and years until coming here where due to having little free libraries having Powell's and library book sales and library bookstores and access to books at like everywhere I turn, I've accumulated 3 bookshelves worth of books. And I read on my Kindle Oasis here. I do read on my tablet occasionally if I'm borrowing books from Hoopla where they aren't available through the Libby app, or if sometimes they're on the Libby app but they're not. I can't transfer them to the Kindle. It's like just a Libby version. Then I'll read it on here. It's not my preferred method, but I can do it occasionally when the need calls. I probably maybe like 1 a month, something like that. So yeah, I do still read my physical books, but it's more of like really having to like think about it to read it. It's not if I'm not thinking, I'm just gonna pick up my Kindle. And so like this whole year, I've made it a point to read a physical book and then a ebook. That way I know for sure I'm picking up these books. So let's see, number 3, how much you read. Do you read more or less than previously? When do you read? How often you read? How often you read changed? Okay, so do I read more or less than previously? I read a lot more than I have in the past. Before I found BookTube in 2015, and from that period, like I would say like high school to 2015, I was reading about 50 books a year, give or take. And then once I joined a BookTube, I started reading around like I think my first year. It was like not enjoy. I should say viewing booktube. I didn't start making videos until 2019. But so yeah, I started out with like around 50 books, and I noticed I found booktube, and so I think I read like 125, and then from then on it's been like I jumped up to like 200 books a year, and then now I'm at right now as of today I've read 400 books, and I'm hoping to hit around like 450 by the end of this year. I would ideally like to hit like 500 every year. That would be great. But we'll see. So yeah, more and more every year is my trend so far. When do I read? Whenever I get a chance. Most of the time during the weekdays, it's after work, and I'll read for like 3 or 4 hours every night. And then the weekends, I'll read a lot. If I have no plans, then I can easily read for like 10, 12 hours Saturday and Sunday. So like 24, probably 24 or more if I have no plans. Yeah. So let's see. And then how often you read changed? No, I've always read almost every single day, like for as long as I can remember. Let's see. Like y'all said, even during school, like middle school, high school, college, all of that. Let's see. How has BookTube changed you as a reader? Like I mentioned before that, I was reading about 50 books a year, and what really BookTube has changed for me is how I find out about books, because I've never been one to like look at like news. I didn't really have access that much to like newspapers or magazines, and I didn't really search online for books. I would just go into a bookstore and see whatever caught my eye. Whereas now I can learn about books before they come out, and BookTube can open my eyes to books I would never have found out if it wasn't through BookTube. That, you know, a bookstore would never have like the display tables and things like that. So yes, for sure, the variety of my knowledge of books has grown since BookTube. And then let's see, number 5 is tag some people. I'm going to tag anyone who is doing Vlogmas for December. So I'll talk to you soon. Thanks, BookTube.